welcome back to Wine Over Books with your girl Kay. So as you can see by the title, we are reviewing With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. So I just gotta start by saying I really enjoyed this read. Like, this is my favorite read right now from this author. Hands down, such a beautiful read. It could resonate with anyone. Like, I can't stress, I gave it 5 stars. Before we jump into the video, of course, I have to shout out to you guys. Thank you for continuing watching my videos, sharing my videos, liking, subscribing. Thank you for commenting. I see all the comments. I do try to respond back to all the comments, so I thank you for just continuing to show support to your girl's page. Continue to send those book recommendations in. The only one that I received so far is The Lord of the Flies, which I'm going to get the book. I've read it in the past when I was in high school, but I'm actually excited to read it again. But that's going to be the following review. But anyways, thank you guys. I'm not drinking any wine today, but you already know. I hope everyone is doing great, and we are going to roll out the videos. I just have to post them. YouTube takes forever to post a video, so that's the delay. It's annoying. But other than that, we got action, baby. So anyways, let's jump right into the review. So we meet Emoni Santiago, right? So Emoni Santiago, she is the main character. So she is currently residing and have been raised by her grandmother since she was born. So Imani's mother died in childbirth, so she never got to meet her mother. She has her father. Her father's name is Tyrone, but once the mother passed away, Tyrone just dipped back to Puerto Rico. He's been in and out of Imani's life ever since. So Emoni is raised by her grandmother, and her grandmother has been doing her thing ever since. She's took on that responsibility. So I should mention that Emoni is a teenage mother. So Emoni was, I'm going to say, sis was like manipulated over a young older boy, and her first time she has sex, her first boyfriend, her first everything, and she ends up getting pregnant. So now she's a teenage mother. So she's 18, she's a senior in high school, and she's preparing to graduate, right? And she's trying to figure out her future, and she is at a stagnant place in her life, right? So the stigma against teenage pregnancy, when she got pregnant, she had a bomb English teacher, I forgot the English teacher name, who helped and advocated for her to remain at her current high school, so she could continue to have a normal teenage experience, as well as be a mother, right? So I shout out to the teacher. So ever since Emoni was 4, she just had this, she watched her grandmother cook. And Emoni has this special talent, this skill where she can cook. The book doesn't do justice, but of saying how well she can cook, right? And if you didn't get that from the book, then I don't know what you got. But anyways, so Emoni has a special gift where she could just grab a flavors, a herb, any ingredient into any meal and make it like superb, right? So she's been like that since she was 4. So her grandmother always knew she had a special skill. So that's the one thing that Emoni is good at, is cooking. Everything else, like, she's not, as far as academics, she's not good at, right? So now she's coming up to her senior year. She doesn't know which direction she wants her life to go. Everybody wants her to apply to college, but she knows that school is not for her. All she wants to do is cook, but she doesn't know how to do that. And because she got pregnant, everybody is placing a stigma on her. You already know how that go. Rumors, people talking to her, basically contributing to her low self-esteem and her low confidence, that she's not going to be able to do it because she's a teenage mother. She got to raise her daughter, and her daughter is fine at this point, right? So she's raising her daughter. Her grandmother's hands-on. She's hands-on with her daughter. She's working. She's going to school. She's cooking for the household. Like, she's doing everything that she's supposed to do despite her situation. Now the baby father is in the child's life, but he gets the child on the weekends, and he's not much help. So he's a deadbeat daddy. I'm just gonna say that he's a deadbeat daddy for right now. His mother is an asshole, and basically it was like when she first got pregnant, he didn't defend Emoni basically when the mother was basically calling her a hoe, and he knew that he was Imani's first. So for the fact that he didn't defend her speaks volume, and she's not messing with him. Like she hasn't messed with any other dude. She hasn't talked to any dudes. It's the household, taking care of her daughter, helping her grandmother, working and doing what she got to do. So she's responsible. Everybody meets that one dude or one woman where you just right. So anyways, so now she goes to the high school where it's supposed to be specialized in culinary, right? But unfortunately, you got a specialized culinary school, but ain't no culinary going on. So her senior year is the start of school, and while she's in her I forgot what they call it. Is it homeroom period? The school announced that they have new electives, right? So one of the electives is a culinary class. So she's excited about it. But then the culinary class has the opportunity to travel to Spain to understudy under chefs. So, and it's also another chef who's going to be in charge of the school. So, the English, she's like, oh, I think you should go for it. It's going to be really good for you. We all know that you could cook. And she's hesitant because like her self-esteem and her confidence in herself is so low. She allowed people to put all their negative thoughts into her, and she believes it. And I'm just like, girl, like, come on, like you are not those things that they're saying. But you felt like her emotions, the character's emotion. I think that's what really made the book beautiful, because it's common struggles that I'm pretty sure someone went through. I haven't gone through that. But as far as like questioning yourself in career, yeah, I went through that. But as far as like the burden of being a teenage mother and people placing stigma onto you, I haven't experienced that, right? So we all know what it feel like. I feel like we all know what it feels like to not know which direction your life is going. If you don't know, then it's not a good feeling, right? So anyway, she's just continues second guess herself and she's unsure. She has a dope best friend, Angelica. And Angelica is dope herself, a dope artist, and she's been riding for Emoni since day one, and I really enjoyed her character, right? So Emoni decides, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Emoni decides that she's going to enroll in the elective. The only thing I can say about the grandmother, I did enjoy the grandmother's character, right? The only thing I can say about the grandmother's character is that at sometimes the grandmother could be seen to be judgy, right? And not have Imani's best interest at hand, but she was always there to support her. But I also feel like it was because she didn't want Emoni to make the same mistakes. And she already knew how hard it would be for Emoni as she finishes school and her daughter grows up. I feel like I understand it, but all know how grandmothers are. Like, they don't hold their tongue for nobody, right? So she enrolls in the class, and on the first day of the class, they learn the basic skills. The only thing with Emoni is that, again, she's ignorant to the fact of how a real kitchen is run. So she only wants to cook, right? But she didn't want to learn the basics of cooking, so she found that part to be boring. So when they finally got the chance to when they finally got the chance to start cooking, the first thing that the teacher asked them to make was pudding. So Emoni followed the recipe, but then she added her own little ingredient to it, right? So when the chef tasted, he was like, oh my gosh, like, this is so good. Like, well, how do you know to put that ingredient in it? She was just like, I just knew. So he already knew off the bat that she was a good cook, right? And she had special talent. But he also had to instill that structure in her. And then you're going to see down the line what happened, right? So at the same time, while Emoni is the beginning of the school year, there's a new student named Malachi. He starts the school, right? So him and Emoni, like, she basically was like giving him the cold shoulder, like, we not friends, hey, hello. But he kept trying to talk to her. And it was like little cute back and forth banter. Like, it was really cute. He was really respectful, right? So Emoni he developed a crush on Emoni. She started developing a crush on him, but she's not gonna let it be known because she didn't want any more negativity attached to her name. But she also was like not trying to give in. At the same time, like, her baby father was checking up. Like, I'm fast forwarding a little bit. Like, her baby father, once her and Malachi really started hanging out, her baby father tracking her, keeping tabs on her, like, oh, I got people in the neighborhood, white people in the neighborhood talking about they seen you with some dude. First of all, y'all made an agreement to co-parent. Why is you on my sis body, but yet he out here having sex with this one, that one, and introducing their daughters to all these different females. He's like, oh, you better not be introducing my daughter to no man. First of all, he might even introduce Malachi to her daughter, but if she did, and so I mean, I don't want to say hate, here's a strong word. I strongly dislike men who do that. Like, relax. Like, your baby mother don't work you no more. Like, she's on to bigger and better things. And he's a low life. Like, he at in the beginning of the book, he had no job. His mother's making suggestions for him. Like, he just was a bum. Bum. So anyways, so we're gonna fast forward, right? So we back to the class. Emoni is given a task to make a dish. So she makes a dish, and again, she decides to put her own spin on it. So when she puts her own spin on it, the chef tastes it. Although it tastes good, he was like, throw it out. So she was like, why? And then he was like, because you didn't follow the recipe. She was like, yeah, but the recipe, basically the recipe was bland, woo. He was like, you need to learn how to follow instructions, because what if you have a customer and the customer, you know, has an allergy to this, that, and third, and you decide to go a spin off. Like, you have to cater to your customer. Yes, you're talented, but you still have to learn discipline. She didn't want to hear that, so she dipped out the class, and then she stopped going to the class for some time, right? Malachi was trying to get her to go back. During that time, I will say, like, her like I said, her and her father's estranged. Like, the grandmother tried to force the Emoni to speak to the father. The father's in Puerto Rico. He could be there for everybody else, but he couldn't be there for Emoni. So she's angry, and she has every right to be angry. Like, he got a lot of nerve, and then he will call the house like there's nothing wrong between them. So that's what really pissed me off. Honestly, I low key, this part I was kind of projecting my own feelings or whatever, but I understood what she was going through, because it's just like, men have the opportunity, not all men, but women do this too. Well, we low key see in more of the men population, but I could be wrong, where they have the opportunity to just pick up and go. Like, they come in and out of their children's life as they please, right? Again, women do that as well, but from my experience, from what I've seen, I know men have been the one to do the walking in and walking out, right? So it's not fair. And then they come back like everything's okay, and then they talk to you like they ain't do shit. Sorry. So yeah. So anyways, what was I going with my point? So yeah. So she's dealing with that, and then she's dealing with the baby father, and then she's dealing with the whole situation with the apartment. So her work hours end up getting cut at one point in the book. They're living off the grandmother's SSI check, and we all know SSI checks don't go a long way. They're little checks, right? And then she got to a point where, you know, she was just feeling at a low point. So the grandmother decides to take her to this little fancy restaurant. At the restaurant, she ends up tasting like the food, and the food is really good, and she was like trying to put the flavors together in the food because it wasn't listed in the ingredients. So she ends up talking to the chef at the restaurant, and she was telling the chef like, yeah, like, I'm trying to place this ingredient, and then the chef told her, and she was like, oh. So the chef was basically like, you know, you got a good taste and for ingredients. And then that's when Emoni was like, yeah, I attend this school over there. I'm in a culinary class. And then the chef was like, oh, my friend teaches at that school. And she was like, yeah, that's why the chef is my teacher. And then the chef at the restaurant was like, basically, you know, you could learn a lot from him. He's really good. So Imani's saying with that, because like I said, since she had that little back and forth with him because she couldn't follow directions, she didn't go back to class. So she didn't know she was going to go back to class. So after having like a realization, I'm fast forwarding a little bit, she decides to go back to the class. So she goes back to the class early, and she basically apologized to the teacher and was like, listen, I understand where you're coming from now. I'm willing to fix myself and follow the recipes and be disciplined, and I really want to learn from you. And he was just like, okay, you got real talent. I believe in you. I'm just trying to give you the necessary skill sets because I could see you running your own kitchen, you being your own boss basically, and you have the talent and skill. You just need to know the other factors. And she was like, okay, like, I understand. So she's willing to put in the work. And that was growth because she was really stuck in her own way. Yes, you can have talent, but hard work, discipline goes a long way, right? Obedience at times goes a long way. So she needed to learn that. So I will say that was tremendous growth, because although she could cook her ass off, it's just like you have to learn the other aspects that go into it. It's not just cooking. So you got to know the temperatures of the meat and woo. It's not like you cooking in your own home. Like when you cooking for other people, you got to be mindful of that, right? So he was like, basically, to make it up, I'm gonna make you the chair of the fundraiser, because again, their Spain trip is coming up and they gotta raise the funds to go on the trip. So she's also stressing, and that was one of the reasons why she didn't want to join the classes, because she knew that they financially they didn't have the money to for her to go on a trip. It just wasn't gonna work. The money that she make from her job, she puts into the household, right? Again, her grandma's on SSI. So she comes up with an idea. She's very brilliant too. So she comes up with an idea that they have a kitchen that's attached to the school, that during the lunch hours they will come up with a menu, and they will serve lunch during the lunch hours. So everyone in the culinary class agreed to that. So they start cooking and serving the meals, and it's a hit. Like the food is busting. Like I wanted some of the food, right? So she's doing good. Everybody's doing good. They prep it, like she's working up early. Like, and her dedication and her resilience was A1. Like sis was waking up early, going to the school early, getting her daughter ready. And it really hurt my heart, because what her daughter, like she couldn't take her to school. Like she missed those key parts, but she was sacrificing a lot of her time, like studying all that, doing her best to really make things happen for herself, right? And all the while, she's still dealing with the bullshit from her baby daddy. But she's getting closer with Malachi, right? So it comes to a point where the fundraiser for the school lunch, it doesn't raise enough money. So she comes up with another idea that they're going to have like another little fundraiser where they auction off the food, and people buy tickets from the community, open up to the community, let the community see what they're doing at the school, taste the food. So it happened. They had the event, and they end up making majority of the money, right? And at the same time, the chef for the class invited his friend at the restaurant that Emoni has spoke to about her food. And the chef at the restaurant chef came to the fundraiser opening. She was like, listen, I heard you came with the menu. I heard you came up with the spin on traditional Thanksgiving meals, and you have talent. And here's my card. Reach out to me if you ever want to come work in apprenticeship type thing, right? So Imani's like, oh my gosh, thank you. But Imani's excitement doesn't last long, for the simple fact that she's thinking about, okay, how she's going to come up with $250, right? I should mention, throughout this book, although she's never met her mother, she communicates with her mother's sister via email. She's never met her mother's side of the family, but they communicate via email. They share recipes back and forth. And, the family wants to get to know her, right? So that's the only connection she has to her mother's family, because her father doesn't talk about the mother, and neither does the grandmother, right? So I'm like, she's missing a part of herself. She feels incomplete, and she has every right to feel incomplete. So now, all right, so it just so happened that she had told her aunt about the fundraising, and she's stressing about, getting the $250. She's like, damn, I'm not going to be able to go. She couldn't get on a payment plan. It was too late. It just so happened that God is good. And the aunt reaches out to her and sends her a check for $350, I believe. And she was like, I got together, collected the money from the family. We wanted to support your fundraising, right? And I was like, look at that. So she ends up working out a schedule with the grandmother and then the baby's father to keep the daughter while she goes to Spain for a week. So obviously she's going to Spain with Malachi. They flirting whoop-de-woo in the class. At one point in the book, this one girl had beef with my girl Emoni for no reason. But I understand, like, when you don't have a love and you come from a household where you lack finances, where you lack food, where you lack self-esteem, where you lack support, you tend to hate, right? Or you tend to resent someone else that you feel have it all. And the thing that got me was that everybody felt like Emoni had it easy. I'm like, sis has a child, right? Sis is working hard. Sis has all these responsibilities, and you think she has it easy? She just makes it look easy. And I'm just like, and stuff like that. I'm like, instead of you try to figure out which part you want to grow in and use what you think Emoni have it easy to use that as motivation, like you steady hating. So she had beef with the girl. The girl's not important. I just want to say that. But anyway, so now they're in Spain, and Emoni gets the opportunity to understudy under a chef, right? So the chef allows Emoni to take the lead on prepping the food, making the menu, and Imani's food is a hit in Spain. Like the whole week, like she learns so much, and it's a hit. So at the so I'm like, yes, my girl's busting food in Spain. So she loves it, right? At the same time, she feels like, we all know, because they had like the statue of Columbus in the book, and I really like this part where she understood while she was in Spain why her father decided to go back to Puerto Rico and stay in Puerto Rico, because the father kept saying like he could never stay where they currently live at in the States because he did not feel a part of that. Like his culture, his love, his soul is in Puerto Rico. So the father will come to the States at the same time every year. He'll stay a short period of time and dip out. And I'm just like, there's no structure there, right? So while she was in Spain, she understood, like, you know, when they did talk on the phone, why he's always talking about Puerto Rican pride, why he's always talking about the culture and doing like historical quizzes. So in Spain, her and Malachi grow close. They decide, like, you know, they like each other, but there's no pressure. Like he's very respectful, I will say that, right? So now they do a little whoop-de-woo in Spain. I'm not gonna say now, they do a little whoop-de-woo in Spain, right? So at the end of the understudy, Emoni gets offered like basically a position to stay in Spain after she graduates, to come back to Spain and to work in the restaurant. But she's like, you know, she could never uproot her family, her daughter to Spain, but the possibility is there, right? So again, she's still trying to figure out everything. She hasn't completed her college application. She doesn't know which direction she wants to go, right? Again, I'm fast forward. So this is where growth starts going in. So she starts getting some level of clarity. Like, again, the support from her is pouring in. She's feeling more confident in her abilities. Like, she's like, her character really grew, right? The self-esteem went from boom to boom. And I really enjoyed it. Like, me explaining it doesn't do any justice, right? So then it gets to a point, again, we're gonna fast forward, right? So it gets to a point where she finally decides that she knows what she wants to do in terms of moving forward in her career. So we don't find out to the end of the book, right? So I think it's a day before her high school graduation, and her dad comes in, right? So her dad trying to sneak in the middle of the night, and she's up, I think, cooking, right? So there was another thing, like when the dad came to the home, he never ate her cooking. She was trying to figure out, like, why don't you eat my cooking? So he finally comes to the home, and while he comes to the home, you know, he has a bigger suitcase this time. So she's like, like, you have a big suitcase. Any other time you come, you got a small suitcase and you pick up and leave. So long story short, they sit down at the table. She offers him some of what she made, and she basically was just like, why? Like, why you moving like that? So he basically states that, you know, her mother was the love of his life. When she died, he lost a piece of her, right? Everything that's in the States, the food, Emoni, every time he looked at Emoni, reminded him of the love that he lost. So he couldn't bear with it, right? So he left Emoni to be raised by his mother because he couldn't deal with his own grief and own feelings, right? And then every time he said that he would come back, it just, the years went by, and it just became complacent. He became complacent. He was just scared to come back. He was like, every time he ate the cooking, it reminded. So he was like, it's nothing against her. It's just that he couldn't deal with his own grief and his own failure as a father. He knew he failed, but he understood that Emoni needs help. Like, it's never too late, that he was going to make the effort. He's going to stay in the States longer. Like, he ready allow somebody to take over the barbershop in Puerto Rico. He was going to get work in the States, and he was going to stay longer to help Emoni help Emoni and you know, with the daughter and stuff like that, right? So I really, really enjoyed that. And it got to a point in the book, I'm going to pause right here before I continue, that I really love the grandmother. I felt for the grandmother, right? The grandmother is a widow. And she lost the love of her life. So throughout the book, you know, the grandmother would tell Emoni like she was going to all these doctor's appointments. But it turns out that Emoni was getting scared because she's like, why you have so many doctor's appointments? At one point, the grandmother had her hand, and that's how she ended up on disability because she was a seamstress. So the grandmother finally decided to tell Emoni, like, I don't have no doctor's appointment. Like, when I'm saying I'm going to a doctor's appointment, I'm really going out to have me time, right? And she was like, I just need to go out and have me time, to not be a grandmother, just to feel like myself again, because I feel like I've lost myself. Because I understand the grandmother. Like, she raised the son, and she thought the son is older. She thought she was free. And then here, the son just drops his daughter off. And now she's raising the daughter. And now the granddaughter has a daughter. So now she's raising the granddaughter. And the grandmother loved the granddaughter. But, you know, she just felt lost, and she felt like her world resolved around them, and she wasn't independent. And the grandmother also met a man, right? So she ended up telling Emoni, listen, he proposed to me. I want to move in with him. I want to live my life. So Emoni tells the grandmother, like, I'll figure it out. Go live your life. Go get married. Like, we will be good. And that's a part of the reason why the father ended up coming back. Because I was worried. I'm like, damn, every time she getting blessings, but now how she gonna pay rent? Like, I was really, really worried for my girl. So anyways, that was good. Her and Malachi is doing good. Like, I don't really remember if they made it official or not, but they at a point where they come to agreement, and I really enjoyed that relationship because she deserved to be happy and experience happiness despite everything that she went through, because she was in a fast girl. Like, she was really respectful of herself. She just ended up messing with the wrong man. Well, little boy, he wasn't a man, right? So Emoni decides that she's going to go to college part-time, culinary school part-time, and she's going to work at the restaurant that, you know, her teacher chef friend said that she could work at, right? So she's like, you know, I could start right now. Like, I want to learn from here, and I want to go to school to get the credentials that I needed so I could eventually run my own restaurant. And I'm like, yes, girl, because that's really what she wanted to do. She knew that she couldn't do school full-time because academics is not her thing. She just wants to cook. So I'm like, yes. So, and then the final thing is that the freaking baby father, he also grew. He decides that he realized that, you know, he needs to help out Emoni more. So he decides to move out from his parents' house. He gets a job. He has his own parents, and he tells Emoni, like, listen, when I'm not with my daughter, I miss my daughter, and I want to start having her more during the weeks. I'm like, it's about time. And then he's like, you know, I just started a job. I'm going to start helping out financially. I'm like, about time. You got my girl struggling. Like, what's wrong with you? So I was happy. You know, he finally came to the realization. He finally got out under his mother's wing and took on more responsibility, so that could alleviate some of the pressure and stress that Emoni was feeling, so she could live her life. Everybody was living her life, minus the grandmother, and Emoni couldn't do anything, right? And I know, like, it was her responsibility, whoop-de-whoop, but the condom broke. Like, she used protection, it just happened to break. It happens. But I'm happy because there was growth in every one of the characters, and Emoni got her happy ending. She grew. Like, the story could resonate, like, her confidence boost, and she saw a future. Like, everything that everybody saw for Emoni, she finally realized for herself, and she believed in herself. And that self-determination was big for her character growth, and I loved it. Like, the story was so beautifully written. I can't say it enough. It's such a beautiful story. The characters, I enjoyed every one of the characters, even the baby father. He was just annoying, but I didn't hate any of the characters. Even the one who had beef with my girl, I understood where her resentment was coming from, you know? And I enjoyed it. So if you read this book, drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think about it. If you haven't read it, go ahead and read it. It is a young adult book, so take heed. If you don't like young adult books, then you might not like this one. But I really enjoyed this read. I definitely would read it again. I'm gonna put a picture of it somewhere in this video because I don't have a physical copy of it. But yes, I'm gonna continue to drop the reviews. We have it, it's in action. We just gotta drop it. And thank you guys for the support. Continue to like, share, subscribe, all of that. Continue to comment. Until next time, your girl is out.